Arcadian Vanguard presents The Wrestling News in your daily wrestling newscast for Thursday, October 27th, 2022. Good morning, I'm Mike Sempervive. We begin today with AEW Dynamite, broadcast live last night on TBS from the Chartway Arena in Norfolk, Virginia. Matt and Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks, as well as Kenny Omega and his on-screen manager Don Callis, were backstage at the event, according to a report from PW Insider. This would be the first time Omega and the Bucks were confirmed to be at an AEW show since All Out on September 4th, where the locker room brawl in which they were allegedly involved along with CM Punk and trainer Ace Steel led to a suspension from AEW for all parties. During last night's program, a vignette aired which showed past footage of Omega and the Bucks and alluded to their disappearance from AEW television. The vignette comes after reports that their return to TV may be imminent. The show concluded with what appeared to be a face turn for MJF, who has long been one of AEW's lead heels. MJF was attacked by his own faction, the Firm, at the conclusion of the main event match between AEW World Champion Jon Moxley and Penta El Zero Miedo when he stormed the ring to confront them for attacking Moxley, his opponent at AEW Full Gear on November 19th, without his permission.
I kind of don't blame him.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Wait, hold on. Wait a minute.
Here he comes! MJF charging in.
Oh, he's coming in hot here. He's getting these guys all off of Mox.
He said he
heard it before.
He just said to Stokely, "You're fired."
He did fire him, right?
MJF had the Firm on retainer, and he told them not to touch Jon Moxley. Oh, God! Ethan Page blocked him.
As a part of the beating, W. Morrissey chokeslammed MJF through a table on the outside of the ring.
God almighty! God almighty! Through the table! Neither the champion nor the challenger are going to walk into Full Gear at 100%.
Moxley had just finished successfully defending the world title against Penta, pinning him after hitting him with the paradigm shift. In the show opener, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta of the Blackpool Combat Club defeated Ring of Honor World Champion Chris Jericho and Daniel Garcia of the Jericho Appreciation Society when Castagnoli pinned Jericho. In a post-match interview, Jericho issued an open challenge to any former Ring of Honor champion. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland of Swerve in Our Glory defeated Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler of FTR to become the number one contenders to the AEW World Tag Team title when Lee pinned Harwood following illegal interference from Strickland. The Gun Club was seated in the crowd dressed as FTR to mock them during the match, and they attacked Wheeler at ringside, stopping him from making the save. Current AEW World Tag Champs The Acclaim defeated Lee and Strickland for the belts at Dynamite Grand Slam on September 21st, and they, alongside Billy Gunn, watched the match from the stage. In other results from last night, Bryan Danielson defeated Sammy Guevara by referee stoppage, and Jamie Hayter defeated Riho. In more news related to the all-out press scrum altercation, CM Punk's camp issued a statement to Wrestling Inc. last night. The statement revealed that Punk has defense attorneys in place in case he is charged or sued as a result of the backstage altercation. It had previously been reported that the third-party investigation into the incident was being held up due to possible legal action, but Punk's statement did not reveal whether he was the source of the action. It was also revealed that Punk's dog Larry was injured during the all-out brawl when the door to Punk's dressing room hit him in the face, damaging 2 teeth which needed to be removed. The statement from Punk's camp was prompted by news of the possible return to AEW television of Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and came at the request of Wrestling Inc.'s Nick Hausman. In ratings news, a Tuesday night's post-Halloween Havoc episode of NXT Live on the USA Network drew an average of 716,000 viewers, up nearly 6% from the 676,000 viewers who watched last week's episode. That's according to Showbuzz Daily. The audience was the 4th largest for the show this year. Ratings in the key 18 to 49-year-old demographic were down, dropping to 0.15 this week, compared to a 0.18 last week, according to WrestleNomics. The 0.15 rating equates to about 196,000 viewers. The episode experienced a 62.5% jump from the week before among males 12 to 34 and a 28.6% drop among women 18 to 49. NXT came in at number 19 on the cable top 150 for the evening in the key demographic, down from last week's number 12 ranking. According to Post Wrestling in Canada, NXT aired on Sportsnet 360 for the first time in 3 weeks. The episode drew 36,000 Canadian viewers, with 12,000 in the 25 to 54-year-old demographic. And the 4th episode of Tales from the Territories on Vice TV, which aired Tuesday night, brought in an average of 101,000 viewers with a key demo rating of .02. The episode focused on championship wrestling from Florida. And an update on the conflict between Karl Anderson and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Anderson responded on Twitter yesterday to a statement from New Japan declaring that he must relinquish his NJPW Never Openweight title if he does not meet his advertised commitment to defend the title on November 5th in Osaka against Hikuleo. Anderson wrote, quote, "I'm not vacating anything. I'm the greatest never openweight champion of all time. I'll defend it on my time," unquote. Anderson and his tag team partner Doc Gallows, currently signed to WWE, had previously announced that they would be skipping the Osaka show that they had been advertised for prior to joining WWE, choosing to appear instead in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where WWE has them scheduled to team with AJ Styles against the Judgment Day at Crown Jewel. Fightful reported yesterday that New Japan still expects Anderson and Gallows to fulfill other additional dates that they had previously agreed to, and that WWE has indicated that they would allow them to. With injury news, here's the Wrestling News' Lou Kipilman.
Tommaso Ciampa underwent surgery earlier this week to repair a torn hip labrum, according to a post the WWE talent made to Instagram yesterday. Ciampa was treated at Andrews Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center in Birmingham, Alabama, where many wrestlers have undergone orthopedic surgery in the past, including Triple H, Batista, CM Punk, Randy Orton, Bobby Lashley, John Cena, Edge, and Shawn Michaels. Ciampa hasn't wrestled since losing to then U.S. champion Bobby Lashley at a September 17th WWE house show in Bakersfield, California. It's not yet known how long he may be out of action. For the Wrestling News, I'm Lou Kipilman.
In other AEW news, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and Maria Kanellis of the Kingdom have signed on full-time with AEW. That's according to a Fightful report yesterday. The trio had made its AEW debut at the October 14th edition of Rampage in Toronto, but had not yet officially signed with the company at the time. They finished up with Impact Wrestling on October 8th, with Bennett and Taven losing the Impact Tag Team titles to Rhino and Heath at the post-Bound for Glory TV tapings in Albany. And speaking of Impact Wrestling, Bobby Fish addressed his relationship with Impact on the most recent episode of the Undisputed podcast.
My status with, a lot of people were kind of making the assumption that I signed with Impact. I have not signed with anyone other than Global Titans, which is not pro wrestling. So I do have that boxing match in November, and then I have a second fight that will be determined. So that's really the only long-standing contract that I have. Everything else, I am figuring it out.
In Lucha Libre news, Blue Panther revealed yesterday that he was not actually seriously injured during his trios match at CMLL's Arena Mexico show Tuesday night, as was originally believed, and that the injury was only a work on his part. According to a report on Lucha Blog, Blue Panther was fine backstage, and although he says he did suffer a bruise to his cervical vertebrae, he was never knocked unconscious, as he appeared to be during the match after a leg drop from Cranio. The match pitted the 62-year-old Blue Panther, Dark Panther, and Panterita Del Ring against Cranio, Okamura, and Rey Bucanero. The apparent knockout appeared to take place during the first fall, after which Blue Panther was removed from the match. It had previously been reported that Blue Panther was taken to a hospital after the match, but that did not happen. Lucha Blog's report alluded to Blue Panther possibly even working the other participants in the match, including the referee, with regards to the severity of the injury. The report pointed out that Blue Panther has been known to do this in the past. This is the second time in a month a CMLL luchador has simulated a serious injury, which was subsequently covered in the media as legitimate, following a supposedly grave injury suffered by Dulce Gardenia during a tag team title match on September 30th. With some news from outside the ring, here's the Wrestling News' Lou Kipilman.
Mercedes Varnado and Trinity Fatu, previously known in WWE as Sasha Banks and Naomi, will be appearing at Vulture Festival 2022 at the Hollywood Roosevelt in Los Angeles on Saturday, November 12th, according to an official announcement. Varnado and Fatu were recently rumored to have worked out a deal to return to WWE, although this hasn't been confirmed and no specific time frame has been made public. WWE is mentioned by name in Vulture Festival's official press release. Vulture Festival is a 2-day event put on by the pop culture website Vulture. For the Wrestling News, I'm Lou Kipilman.
And finally, in some Keiji Muto news, the Great Muta's final match for New Japan Pro Wrestling has been set. Muta will team with Kazuchika Okada and Toru Yano against the United Empire's Jeff Cobb, the Great Okan, and Aaron Hanare in New Japan and Stardom's joint historic crossover show on November 20th in Tokyo's Ariake Arena. Muto showed up at Wednesday's Korakuen Hall show during Okan's first-round World TV title tournament match against Toru Yano. He blew green mist into Okan's eyes, which led to a Yano victory. Keiji Muto's retirement tour wraps up on February 21st for the Pro Wrestling Noah promotion. Muto's career began in New Japan on October 5th, 1984, when he defeated his future generational rival and good friend, Masahiro Chono. And before we leave you today, we'd like to remind you that however you consume your content, you can find the Wrestling News 24 hours a day and 7 days a week across social media. On Twitter, follow us at Wrestling News AV. Our Facebook page is also Wrestling News AV. The Wrestling News can also be found on the Arcadian Vanguard YouTube page. And for those who utilize Amazon Echo devices, just tell Alexa to play the Wrestling News podcast. And remember to make sure you add podcast at the end. Once again, for daily updates, breaking news, and more, follow the Wrestling News across social media. And that's the news for today. If anything happens, we will be here to tell you about it. No clickbait, no paywall, just the Wrestling News. The Wrestling News is a division of Arcadian Vanguard, and the Wrestling Newscast is a production of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network.